Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side. Doug Billings here. Tonight, the big night, the debate. Kamala Harris, every hope of that campaign. Can you wonder how the panic must be cascading down over in that camp? Because everything tonight, everything about that campaign rests on her ability, or should I say lack of ability, to speak extemporaneously, without a teleprompter, without notes. She cannot do it. This is going to be a spectacle to behold, ladies and gentlemen, and Trump needs to hold fast on the issues that give the Republican Conservative Party the moral and political high ground: illegal immigration, inflation, cost of living, crime, the decline of moral societies, the energy independence issue, transgenderism, and the LGBTQ kook community. All of that, we have the high ground. In fact, we have the high ground with everything in this election cycle. Ladies and gentlemen, The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you, smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. That's where I am. Thanks for joining me wherever you are. We appreciate you. I do. We're in this thing shoulder to shoulder. Just a reminder real quickly before we dig into the program tonight, a big night, the debate between Trump and Harris, and the radical liberal agenda on full display. We will call it out and talk about it. DougBillings.us, however, that's your homework assignment. After the show tonight, DougBillings.us, head over to my website and check it out. A lot of stuff over there to consider, not least of which is the donate tab. I always remind you, I'm a crowd-funded show. I'm not monetized on social media, and I never charge you for the intellectual maturity that you're given and the fact that you become the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land, ladies and gentlemen, just simply from watching and listening to this program. So DougBillings.us, the website, click on that donate tab and consider prayerfully offering a monthly recurring donation so that we can continue. I can continue. There is no we, it's just me, so that I can continue to bring you the program free of charge and fully produced here. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. So tonight, inflation, the cost of living, illegal immigration, crime, energy dependence instead of independence, the woke culture that the liberal left stands for, the transgender culture, the LGBTQ kook community, the wussification of men, and the attack on women's sports. Where do you want to begin? Because all of that is what the radical left liberal party in America advocates for in this country. Tonight's debate should be an absolute slam dunk for President Trump. Kamala Harris, the reason that she's not a district attorney anymore is because she couldn't preside in a courtroom. She can't speak extemporaneously. She is the world's worst political speaker in the history of the American Republic. Word salad city, no sense at all. She doesn't make sense. She doesn't deliver sense. Every key issue of concern in America with regards to the chaos and the crisis that continually surrounds us are the products of a liberal policy. You can count on that. Where do you want to begin? Tonight, President Trump should be very, very clear, stay on target, stay on track and topic, and just absolutely obliterate the policies that you see, because once you get past the nonsense rhetoric, of Kamala Harris, you begin then to look at the actions. They're all about joy and happiness. Oh, you elect me and it's going to be joy and happiness. Her and Tim Walz, her and Skippy Tim, who is the epitome of the wussification of men in America, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, all about joy and happiness, right? Until you look and see at her actions and the results of those actions. I mean, I think illegal immigration is the natural, easy target. It's the easy target for all of us to consider. You have America, 20 million or so people coming in here, unfettered, unchecked, people who want to do us great harm. And you're left wondering why. Well, the reasons why are multifaceted, but there's two primary reasons. You have the ability, they think, at least on the radical left, that the illegal immigration chaos and crisis and the problem that it presents will ultimately become for them their new electoral base. That's item number one, and that's a topic unto itself, and we could talk for a week about that. The new electoral base of the radical left communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, coming on over here. That's what they're doing. Secondly, it represents what they want to do with the American identity. They want to dilute the American identity, ladies and gentlemen. And today, quite coincidentally, Alexis Nungary, the mother of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary, she testified before Congress today about the horrific death of her 12-year-old daughter at the hands of illegal immigrants. So young Jocelyn strangled. She had her hands tied behind her back. Her ankles were tied, strangled to death after a 2-hour abduction by two criminals from Venezuela, and her body thrown off of a bridge into a river ravine. And she was naked from the waist down, just like a bag of trash tossed overboard. And Venezuelan criminals here specifically at the invitation of Kamala Harris. And that's what it is, ladies and words matter. They're important. Kamala Harris has invited these illegals to come into America. All of them. They've advocated it. They've pushed it. They've driven the message, and they've welcomed them in here. These two animals were in custody just a few weeks prior to them murdering Jocelyn. And they were released by the very policies that have been put in place by Kamala Harris and every member of the radical liberal party in America. Released just a few weeks before Jocelyn's murder. Horrific, abhorrent. And it's the type of thing that is typical with regards to Kamala Harris in everything that she's done when she was a district attorney, by the way. It's the same thing playing out now that played out then. She has always been a failure with regards to prosecuting violent criminals with extreme prejudice. She has always been a failure with regards to imposing sentences that represent the fullest and maximum extent of the laws that we already have on the books. And she has been a failure because she offers a propensity to grant early releases to violent criminals. In the off chance that she would put them in jail, they get out early. And it's the record that Kamala owns. That is it. The record of Kamala Harris is a record of purposeful chaos. It is a record of defunding the police. And it's a record of rape, murder, arson, and anarchy. You cannot deny this. To do so would be to self-identify as a victim or a carrier of chronic intellectual immaturity. These two savages from Venezuela, these two animals who were released from Venezuela prisons and encouraged to migrate to the United States precisely because of the policies that Kamala Harris has put in place, were welcomed here by her. Just one example of the brutality, of the chaos, of the evil that has been unleashed upon us by the policies of the radical liberal movement in America, headed up by Kamala Harris, Madam Vice Pretender. They were in custody, ladies and gentlemen. But because Kamala Harris has implemented this ridiculous catch and release program at the border. These two murderers were enrolled in what's called, get this, you cannot make this stuff up. It's too tragic to be funny, but it is what the reality is. They've created a program called Alternatives to Detention, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we have the Alternatives to Detention program, thanks to Kamala Harris and her radical liberal commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. Alternatives to detention. Detention isn't good enough for violent criminals. We have to rehabilitate them. And in order to rehabilitate them, we let them go. We let them go back into society, back on the streets, because we've scheduled a meeting with some social workers. Surely they're going to come back and honor those meetings. We've put it on their calendar. We've given them a free cell phone. My gosh, the meeting date is right there. I put it in myself. I mean, that's the abject intellectual maturity that's behind the rationale of this program, Alternatives to Detention. Are you kidding me? It's an example of how the radical left movement in America will use, it's the term referred to as social justice. When you hear that term run for the hills, because there's nothing social and there's certainly no justice, when the radical left movement in America uses the term social justice, there's absolutely no justice offered or granted through liberal policies. In fact, they do everything they can to erase the avenues and pathways to justice, unless it's something they're seeking to do, unless it's something or someone they're seeking to erase. Oh, I don't know, like President Trump. Oh, yeah, then it's full force lawfare. Let's engage the system. Let's go after him. And with extreme prejudice, let's try to lock him up and make him ineligible to be dog catcher, much less the president of the United States. In fact, the opposite takes place when you're talking about social justice in the liberal context. American citizens are robbed of justice. They are robbed of their primary right to life under the policies of Kamala Harris. Jocelyn Nungary, 12 years old, left her home early in the morning. She snuck out of home to go to the convenience store. She's going to try to meet her boyfriend. A lot of 12 and 13-year-old kids do these kinds of things. She did not deserve to be kidnapped, raped, and murdered by two animals from Venezuela who were let out of their penitentiary system and then released through our Alternatives to Detention program set up by Kamala Harris. Jocelyn Nungary was robbed of her life. There is no justice in that program. There is no justice in the policies, the platform, and the politics that the radical left put forth upon us. And in the case of violent criminals in general, there are always avenues to prosecute these people with full extent of the law behind us. In other words, with extreme prejudice, we prosecute these people. I mean, they were released with this Alternatives to Detention program, and in less than 3 weeks after that release, they had murdered Jocelyn. President Trump needs to hit that topic hard tonight. Illegal immigration, not just Jocelyn, but the entire concept of it. He needs to be prepared to illustrate to the American people that not only is this criminally and politically insane to do this, it is absolutely being done on purpose. No accidents here, folks. It's all intended chaos and crisis. These atrocities, they all lie square at the feet of Kamala Harris, and Trump had better be on target and on track to point that out tonight. Tell us all, Kamala will, about how she's all about joy and happiness. That's a mantra that came down from the radical liberal hierarchy that was dispatched to all of the legacy media broadcasters, the liberal talking heads and pundits on social media. Joy and happiness. Oh, look how joy and happy they are. Look at their faces, skipping across and waving their hands on the stage of their rallies. And in the meantime, they want you to, it's smoke and mirrors. Hey, never mind my hands down here. Never mind the man behind the curtain. Never mind our party that induces utter chaos and crisis. A lot more to talk about. I'm going to run down the debate topics. I'm going to talk to you about how Trump should respond and what we will see tonight in the debate. DougBillings.us, ladies and gentlemen. Again, head over there after the show and after the debate, perhaps. Head over to DougBillings.us. Prayerfully consider setting up a monthly recurring donation so that I can continue to bring you the show that you need in order to become the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land. Stay with me. I'll be right back after this break. Cheers. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show. Coming to you, as I always do, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. And I want to talk to you about EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Now, these things can happen from the sun in nature and naturally, but they can also happen through man-made devices made by people who don't like us very much. And thanks to Kamala Harris, our failed border czar, we've got millions of people in this country who don't like us. Thank you very much, Kamala. Well, EMP Shield is a device like this one here that hooks up to your breaker box in your home, and it prevents your home and your electrical system from being fried in case of an electromagnetic pulse. There's a smaller version that you can put on the battery of your vehicle, so it is also protected. So head over to empshield.com, promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen, empshield.com, promo code Doug. Believe it, for the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug Billings, driving the left crazy with the truth.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Once again, Doug Billings here, The Right Side. And we have an incredible opportunity for you all in December 13th and 14th. It's going to be a celebration because President Trump is going to win in November. I'm holding my Determined Patriotism Conference in Branson, Missouri, December 13th and 14th. You can get tickets at determinedpatriotismconference.com. Jot that down. A little bit of a long link, I know. determinedpatriotismconference.com. You're going to see me and some of the nation's tier 1 podcasters and influencers talk about motivating and educating ourselves with regards to reclaiming the republic away from the radical left commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. You can get tickets and information at determinedpatriotismconference.com. It's going to be held in Branson, Missouri. Branson during Christmas is gorgeous. If you haven't seen it during that time, get on down there. We're going to have a great time Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th. Great information, education, motivation, a dinner together, a Branson show. You can't go to Branson without seeing a show. And we're going to have a great time together. And I'll be there with you to talk with you and to celebrate the Trump victory. We're going to just put that out there. There's the website. Check it out. determinedpatriotismconference.com. Thanks, Reagan, for putting that up there. Check it out. Tickets information. The ticket price includes hotel. There's various packages. Again, if you want to hit a show with us, if you want to go out for dinner with us together as a group, all of that are optional, and you can check out all of the information over there on determinedpatriotismconference.com. I would love to meet you in Branson in December. Okay, so tonight, business at hand, the debate. Trump needs to stay on target and on topic and just outline specifically the policies, platform, and politics of this radical left, commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and how it's all represented now by the bequeathed. Yes, she was bequeathed the nomination. She did not earn it. She did not win it. It was bequeathed to her, and Trump needs to call her out. Because all of and words are important. All of them, all of the policies that come out of that party create crisis and chaos. I'm going to explain why they do it, because it begs the question. Why? How come you think that, Doug? What's up? So I'm going to explain, but here's what happens all across America. When you look at the radical liberal movement in America, in every state in this republic that's managed, led, run by Democrats, commie socialists, you can see all of the same things happening across the country in each of these blue states. Failure to prosecute criminals with extreme prejudice. They give light sentences, if they're even sentenced at all, these criminals. Most of the radical left state district attorneys and attorneys general and so forth go to great efforts and lengths to give light sentences to many violent criminals. And if they are prosecuted and sent to jail, they're many times granted early releases. Why? That begs the question, doesn't it? Why do they do that? What's up with that? Why do radical liberal policies endeavor to do things like defund the police and refuse to prosecute violent criminals according to the very adequate laws that we already have on the books? Why is this? Well, the answer is, in my mind, it's very clear. The radical liberal movement in America, the commie socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, wants violence in the streets of America. What other possible conclusion can we draw? They let them out early. They don't even prosecute them to the full extent of the law. The two savages who killed Jocelyn Nungary were in custody 3 weeks prior to them being released by the Alternative to Detention program that is set up by Kamala Harris and her radical liberal party. They want chaos and crisis to rain down upon us because they believe that when that happens, it causes us to seek out big government for control and for help. That will give the radical liberals more power over the lives of all of us. So there is reason behind their chaos and behind their crisis. Give more powers to the federal government, more powers that the Constitution does not grant to the federal government, by the way. And besides the crime and besides the violence that results from illegal immigration, something else is also part of their long-term game plan, their long-term impact on our society. These millions upon millions of illegals, tens of millions of them coming across our borders, their long-term plan, and you can better believe they've discussed this together in person and online on Skype and Zoom calls. You'd better believe it. They want these millions of illegals to come in because they will dilute and eventually erase the American identity. It's what the radical left sees happening in Europe, Germany, Spain, Italy, the UK, France. Illegal immigration is such a problem in those countries that they have very little, if any, national identity left. And the radical liberal Muslim population is key among the issues that they're facing over there. And we will be facing that, and in fact already are in many states, Michigan, for example. This is what the radical left commie socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, wants. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no other conclusion that we can draw when we look at the evidence of the obvious. They do not believe, this radical left group of people, they do not believe in American exceptionalism. America must be humbled. We are a sinful nation born on the backs of slaves, created by immorality. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, the last time I checked, the divine providence of God inspired this country and inspired our founding fathers to write our founding documents. But the radical left don't believe that we're a nation inspired by God. They don't believe that we're one republic under God. In fact, they've excommunicated God completely out of their platform. They did that years ago. You can't have a great, almighty, and universal God if you want the big government to be the people and the institution and the organization that rescues you. They disagree with the founding fathers. They do not believe in the intent of the founders. Why else would they advocate destruction of the Supreme Court and the elimination of the Electoral College? Because both of those institutions stand to give them not what they want. They stand in their way. When they don't get their way, they destroy. Look at the evidence of the obvious. When liberals don't get their way, they have rocks and pallets of bricks and stones delivered to street corners so that their rioters, who are all or mostly paid, can throw them through storefront windows. That's what happens when liberals don't get their way. They topple statues, they destruct and destroy public property, spray paint, etc. They burn the American flag, they riot, they commit arson and anarchy. They believe that America needs to be fundamentally transformed. America must be humbled. These are not patriots, not American patriots, ladies and gentlemen. No one within that communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, is an American patriot. In fact, they are anti-American. I put it to you. Look at what they are doing. It's impossible, for example, to be an American patriot if you believe that America needs to be fundamentally transformed. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Not to mention, it's not true. So Trump he'd better focus on this illegal immigration issue. It is a huge problem, and there must be no quarter and no favors given to any illegal. The very fact that they came over here makes them criminals, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, but Doug, there's some of these illegal families that have come over here, husband and wife and children, that are just trying to find the American dream. They're decent people. They've committed no crimes. They need our help. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a process and a mechanism by which these people can come in. But for now, there is no quarter. There is no excuse. There are no favors to be issued to any illegal immigrant. They all must go back home and begin the legal process of entering into this country. It is not fair, it is not right, it is not legal for them to do anything else. And who is to blame for this? It is not Trump, and it's not the Republican Party who wants to round up and send them back. It is the liberal communist socialist movement in this country. It is their fault. They began this process. They allowed it to happen. And now we have to deal with the consequences of those actions. And unfortunately, some very nice people from foreign countries who are illegal immigrants are going to have to go back home. And they're going to have to figure out how to get here legally. And we have to also deal with the nonsense that allows these people to come in here and have children who automatically become United States citizens. That will be addressed when Trump wins the presidency. Mark my words. I can tell you that much for sure. And other than, if illegal immigration isn't enough, we have the highest inflation in decades upon us now. The cost of living is out of control. We can't afford to live in America since the last 3.5 years started with Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris. And this is primarily the reason why so many young Americans, and it does my heart good to see multiple tens of millions of Generation Z young adults coming over to the right side. Generation Z demographics are swarming towards President Trump. And who can blame them? They're not stupid. These kids understand. They see it every day. They can't begin their lives of independence precisely because of the politics, the policies, and the platform of Kamala Harris. They can't buy homes. They can't buy automobiles. If they have a car, they can't afford to put gas in it. They have to make decisions. Do I eat or do I fuel my vehicle? Do I live at home or do I have enough wherewithal to get a loan and live on my own? It seems like they're giving free money to the illegals to do all of this. What about me? And Generation Z sees this, and they know it. And they're coming to Trump by the millions. Despite what you see in the legacy media, despite what you see posted on X or wherever, the radical liberal mob is losing Generation Z. A lot more to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with me here. I want to remind you again, please, the Determined Patriotism Conference. Come and see me, meet me. I want to meet you. I want to talk with you. The Determined Patriotism Conference coming up in December 13th and 14th, Christmas time in Branson, Missouri, ladies and gentlemen. See me and several of America's Tier 1 top podcasters and influencers. It'll be a celebration of President Trump's victory and a reminder of how to become motivated and educated to get involved in your local levels of government to make sure that we can continue to reclaim the republic away from the radical left communist-socialist movement. We're going to have some fun Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th of December. We're going to go to a Branson show, have dinner together, and hear some great speakers along the way. And I would love to meet you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with me. We're just halfway done. I'll be right back after this break. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Hey, consider going to mypillow.com right now and get your pet a pet bed, just like my beloved Delta has right here in my office. Not only can you get pet beds, but you can get sheets, towels, blankets, and so much more. Slippers, sandals, robes, beach towels. It just goes on and on. But please, go to mypillow.com and be sure to use the promo code B66. When you do, not only will you receive savings, but a generous percentage of each purchase comes back to continue supporting this 24/7 free broadcast outlet. We need your support. Hey, look, we're entrepreneurs, just like my friend Mike Lindell. We all need your support, and you're getting quality products at the same time. So please, go to mypillow.com and use the promo code B66. Mike always has amazing specials going right there at MyPillow. So check out whatever those specials might be today. You never know. Mike's always changing it up and making new offers right there at mypillow.com. But be sure to use the promo code B66.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. I am Doug Billings. Today's economy crashing thanks to the policies, platform, and politics of Kamala Harris. Thank you very much. If you want to protect your investment that you have set aside for your retirement, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's diversifying in gold and silver, the biblical standard for which we can protect our money. Head over to Doug's Gold, D-O-U-G-S gold.com, Doug'sGold.com, and simply get information about how you can diversify your portfolio and protect your retirement, ladies and gentlemen. Doug'sGold.com. Also information about how to use gold and silver as currency on Doug'sGold.com. Ladies and gentlemen, head over there today. Protect yourselves. Protect your retirement. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Doug Billings, reminding you that conservatives are better looking than liberals.
Everybody, welcome back. Here we go. The Right Side with Doug Billings. We meet over here, by the way, always in determined patriotism and determined prayer. That's how we roll. That's how we will, ultimately, with our determined patriotism and our determined prayer. We're going to recapture this republic away from the grip of this nonsensical and quite literally evil left-wing party that has captured us, and we're fighting to retrieve the republic. So I'm going through a list of some of the things that Trump needs to focus on. The illegal immigration. We have then the cost of living. A lot of good news that as far as the Generation Z folks that are following Trump and seeking to find solutions to the chaos that Kamala Harris and her party have thrust upon them. And also, you know what, folks, as we look across the landscape of America, we have always been, since our founding, a moral nation. Now, nothing that is in the hands of human beings, that is run, led, and managed by human beings, nothing is perfect. The Republican Party is not perfect. America as a nation is not perfect. It's impossible for anything that is run, led, and managed by human beings to be perfect. But let me just outline some things. At least the right side, at least the Republican Party strives to find and adhere to and live within the divine providence of God. And at least we strive to support the intent of the founding fathers when they wrote our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, and so forth. We try to do this. We have made mistakes, but we are not the party that advocates that America needs to be fundamentally transformed. You cannot be an American patriot and believe that. We are not the party that advocates this immorality that has cascaded down upon us, especially over the last 3.5 years, but it's been longer than that. But it's been accentuated and it's been expedited since Kamala Harris has been involved. Every major demographic in America, every one of them, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, men, women, young and old, they all view the LGBTQ kook movement as a kind of mental illness and an invasion, if you will, of immorality into our country. Now, I know that we have pockets of people that are full force supporters of that group, but what I'm saying is that the majority of each demographic that I just called out thinks that it's kookville. And within that movement, within the LGBTQ kook movement, we have seen over the past several decades an attack on men and women alike and on children. They have targeted children. For liberals, the pathway to joy and happiness, yes, all we have to do to find joy and happiness is to convince the population that gender misappropriation is a reality. That's what we have to do. We have to convince them that that's the case. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. Gender misappropriation is, the feeling that you were born in the wrong gender, right? This is a fiction. It is not a reality. It is a mental illness, and it needs to be addressed as such. We as conservatives want to have empathy and care for these people. We want to try to help them get back into reality. The radical left wants to target children who have been raised by parents, who have been raised by parents, who have been raised by parents, who will to allow themselves to become detached, not only from reality, but from basic human morality. The abhorrent. Think of this. It's difficult to imagine, and these words need to be said. And I hope this topic comes up tonight. To advocate that children, in order to become happy, children who believe that they've been gender misappropriated, the only way for them to be happy, according to the radical liberal movement in America, is if they mutilate their genitalia. Now, those are powerful words, and they're gruesome in the context that I've just used them. But it's what they advocate. It's what the radical left advocates. And we need to say these words out loud and often, because it is absolutely evil what that represents. And we are, as you all know, in a battle, more than just a political battle, a battle of good versus evil, pure and simple, the truth. There is no salvation for people who advocate such violence and immorality upon our innocent children. Oh, but I want to support my son or my daughter. You don't support them by engaging in brutality, in medieval acts of mutilation. You don't friend and take care of your children by allowing them to believe in a fiction. You teach your children to believe and live and work within reality. We can still love the people that are affected by this mental illness, and we can still take care of them within reality. And we will. And that's perhaps the rebranding to a degree that the Republican Party might consider, but we have automatically the moral high ground on this topic. Just as we do with abortion, we have the moral high ground. And life is always a winning issue for us. There are some out there on our side, on the conservative side, who say, well, maybe we shouldn't make this a big issue. We seem to lose every time we bring it up. Nonsense. That's the enemy talking. It is always, life is always, and the protection of children is always a winning issue for us. And we can, at the same time, be honest and say that we will take care of women who find themselves in a predicament where they may not want a baby, but we can help them through this process. There are so many alternatives available to abortion. We can help you. And by the way, we hold men accountable to their role as fathers. Life is a winner for us if we're firm and we believe and we stand firmly on the moral high ground, because that moral high ground belongs to no one but us. Only members of the conservative movement in America can claim allegiance and alliance with the divine providence of God. Only conservatives, MAGA conservatives, and American patriots can claim alliance with and allegiance to the intent of the founding fathers. And the liberal movement just doesn't attack women and children, it attacks men. The radical left liberal movement has been after and trying to wussify men for decades. The wussification of men. And you get an excellent example. On the campaign trail, ladies and gentlemen, wherever Tim Walz is, just look at him. Whenever he's in front of the camera, take a good look. Take a good look at the way he walks, the way he skips, at the way he waves his jazz hands in front of the crowds. Tim Walz is the poster child of the wussification of men. Juxtapose that image of Walz against that of President Trump. Trump is almost had his head blown off. He gets back up after the assassination attempt, raises his fist in the air and yells, "Fight, fight, fight." And whether or not they articulated it like this word for word, the reason that that event was so powerful, the reason that that photograph is etched in our memory more so than any other American president in our history is because our natural inclination is to see that and demonstrate it as an example of what a real man looks like, of how a real man acts in the face of danger. It symbolizes what Trump represents with regards to how he not only fights for America, but how he's going to fight specifically for you and for me. That's why people like Mark Zuckerberg said, wow, that was the most badass thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That's why Elon Musk said the very same thing. And that's why all of us, even the radical liberal folks that can't stand Trump, when they saw that, they're going, holy cow, that's going to be tough to counter. How are we going to deal with that? That visual, that image. I mean, did you see what he did? Holy moly, that's a man right there. That's an American male. And Walz is not. There is no, show me a radical liberal male, and I'll show you a man who's been wussified. The radical left attack on women is out there. We all see it all the time these days. The attack on women's sports. The woke agenda calls and demands that biological men are allowed to compete in women's sports, putting women and girls at great danger in many cases. They want to move the needle further to the left, my friends. That's why I've told you before that the presidency in tonight's debate, I know that the presidency is the target, but remember, I'm telling you that the presidency is not their number one goal. They'll take it. Of course, they'll take it if they can get it or if they can, take it. But it's not their number one goal. It's their number two goal. The number one goal for the radical left Communist Socialist Party, formerly known as Democrats, is that they want to continually push the needle in society and in politics further to the left. Further to the left. I mean, look at the things I'm talking about with you good people tonight. Transgenderism, LGBTQ kook communities, the woke agenda, mutilation of children's genitalia in order so that they can become happy if they feel gender misappropriated. Defunding the police, riots and arson and anarchy, all enabled and advocated by the radical left. Look at the things we're talking about. We're talking about those things because they're pushing the needle further to the left in this republic. That's their number one driver. Make America more liberal so that we can fundamentally transform her, so that we can destroy her and build her back better. And that was the first word they left out of that mantra. Build back better. I was the first one to broadcast that back in 2020. When they began saying that with Barack Obama, I began my show in 2020. I said, remember that? Remember when Barack Obama said, build back better? Well, behind the scenes, amongst themselves, they said, we've got to destroy America first. And then we're going to build it back better in our communist socialist image. So we can't really go out in public and say, destroy America. Well, how else are we going to say it? How else are we going to put it? Well, we can say fundamentally transform. That sounds more gentle. Yes, fundamentally transform America. That's what we'll do. And so there came their mantra, fundamentally transform America. They don't love America. America must be humbled. America is evil. We must destroy it. and we must build it back in our radical left woke image. And that is what Kamala Harris represents. Trump will not only point this out, I think he'll focus on a lot of this tonight. All right, I've got one more section with you here, one more segment of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. Much more to talk about. Bear with me while you take a trip into capitalism. I'll be right back after this break. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
For honoring me and just listening and being with me tonight and always, every Monday through Friday. WorldViewTube.com, very kind of them to produce the show. We appreciate them very much. We're on Spreely TV. Of course, you can watch us live on X. Hope you check us out over there, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and just appreciate you being with me. We are in this together, my friends, and we will prevail. Great hope is all around us. America, despite what you see, America is not on her deathbed. Now, America's in a nightmare, for sure. But the good news about nightmares is that everyone wakes up from them, and we are on the cusp of the greatest reawakening to the divine providence of God that this republic has ever seen. And I mean even during the time of the founders. So with all of this, the adversity, the challenge, it seems like we're in this midst of adversity, challenge, and sometimes tragedy, that it seems sometimes that we can't win, or that we're going to just lose our country. We're not going to lose our country. We are in a nightmare, and no one person, Trump included, no one person can save us from any of this, but the combined efforts of we the people, of you and me, as designed by the founders, by the way, as inspired by God, and as codified in our founding documents. That's how we win. That's how we take it back. So we will prevail. And so the radical left fundamental nonsense about wanting to transform America, this radical liberal communist socialist party, they've been doing this for 128 years. It's not like all of a sudden in 2020, this was just sprung upon us. Ever since the days of John Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and John Dewey, the three wealthy, avowed socialists who conglomerated their money and began to go after American education institutions and circumvent their curriculums to amend them to the socialist agenda. Ever since those days, they've been after the fundamental transformation of America into a socialist communist mix. And you can throw other, fascism and Marxism in there too. I just shorten it up. For me, the Radical Democrat Party doesn't exist anymore. It is the Communist Socialist Party. They are not pro-America. They're anti-America. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Look at what they are doing. And so they started slowly, the radical left, getting involved in doing this, but they've escalated and they've expedited their attempts to new heights and to new efforts over the course of the years, especially since Obama's years in the White House. I mean, you look at another topic that will come up tonight, and Trump better drive this one hard home too, defunding the police. The common thread through all of the policies, as I've said, put forth by the Radical Communist Socialist Party is chaos. That's their patron demon, the demon of chaos. They want it on the streets of America. And how else can you get it there? Well, you can start with illegal immigration. You can start with driving up inflation and the cost of living, causing people to feel hopeless and dependent upon the government. You can let millions of illegals come in and give them free stuff while Americans themselves are suffering. And you can defund the police. It's another example. And from that example, we can draw only one conclusion. Kamala Harris and all of the members of her radical liberal elected class want violence on the streets of America. Why else would you defund the police? There's simply no other intellectually mature conclusion that we can draw based on all of this evidence. And from Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who allowed riots, looting, rape, murder, arson, and anarchy to take place in Minneapolis and other cities in his state, within that, it's a perfect combination. He and Kamala, a match made in hell, ladies and gentlemen, the ticket of terror, because that's what their policies bring to America, terror. And in many cases, you can better believe the illegal immigration issue, the defunding the police, there are people coming across the border who want to do great and catastrophic harm to all of us. And they are making plans to do that right now. And you better make sure, please, have plenty of ammo. We are in a situation where we cannot know to what extent these terrorists will go with regards to hurting us. And when I'm at Mar-a-Lago or at Bedminster, and if I'm talking and in meetings with the president or with General Flynn or with other influencers, schools become the topic of conversation with regards to what will they target. Kidnapping students. I mean, think about what you saw in Israel, that kind of thing. And there are people here poised and making plans and at the ready to execute terrible things. And we don't talk about it in legacy media because they try to compartmentalize it and brush it under the carpet. But these are the dangers that the policies, the platform, and the politics that Kamala Harris represents puts us in. Danger. So Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, anarchy, arson, raping, looting, and Kamala Harris, who back in those days encouraged the anarchists in Minnesota. She encouraged them to get back out on the streets. She encouraged them so much that she set up funding mechanisms so that they could get bail money. If in the off chance they were arrested in a liberal state, they could get right back out and continue the carnage. It's indicative behavior of every blue state governor in this country. Indicative behavior of every elected official in this communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. And all of this chaos, all of this crisis, it is coordinated, it is not accidental, it is purposeful. Drawn up and executed by plans that were made by the radical left party and the hierarchy of that movement within America. And it's all represented by the platform, the politics and the policies that are coming forth from Kamala Harris. I hope that Trump is this firm and decisive and on target. I hope that we see the dichotomy between what these parties represent. The fundamental philosophies of the Republican Make America Great Again movement is that of the divine providence of God, the rights that we all have that come from God, and the intent of the founding fathers, America as an exceptional experiment and nation and republic. America that is the hope of the world, that can provide the American dream if the American dream is sought legally. You can't begin to teach and allow the American dream to begin with a crime, the crime of illegal entry into our nation. I think that Kamala, look, I have no, like I said at the beginning of the program, her entire campaign, because she is trailing in the poll, she's behind in Pennsylvania, which is, of course, you know, it's interesting. I was thinking today, and I made a post today. Why did they choose Tim Walz? Because Tim Walz brings 0 electoral college votes to the campaign. Minnesota is likely going to go blue no matter what we did. It hasn't gone red in a long time. Now, we would love that, but Tim Walz as a choice pretty much solidifies Minnesota. Minnesota is Kookville with regards to politics. It is solid blue. So he brings no electoral college votes. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, would have brought a state that is probably going to go Trump. Trump is winning in Pennsylvania, up 5 points. Kamala had it early on, but it's going, in fact, every battleground state is trending towards Trump. Why didn't they choose Josh? Is it because he's Jewish? Did AOC and the squad get their way? Did the anti-Semitism within that party win? Because it seems as if it might have been a strategical, better move to get Governor Shapiro on board because Minnesota's already theirs. Why not try to solidify Pennsylvania with Josh Shapiro as the vice president candidate? Interesting topic, interesting stories, interesting speculation. No Jews allowed here, folks, on the Democrat side. Evidence of the obvious? You decide, but it certainly is interesting. Certainly is interesting. Trump leading and surging now in all of the battleground states. And with a lead like that in Pennsylvania, all he needs is one battleground state, and he's in the White House. And a reason why I like J.D. Vance's selection, it's a strategic choice. J.D. Vance brings us the entire Rust Belt. Ohio, possibly Wisconsin, Pennsylvania is part of that, Western New York, Ohio, certainly because he lives there. And so he brings us that, West Virginia. He might bring other states, but that Rust Belt's important for us. And so it was a strategic move. And I hope that Trump gets a chance to explain these issues in great detail tonight. And we're going to see, I think, the absolute definition and separation of two philosophies in America. One philosophy, America is not exceptional. America must be humbled. America must be fundamentally transformed through radical liberal policies and ideologies. And on the other side, America is exceptional, inspired by God and his divine providence and the founding fathers and their intent for this nation. And making America great again in the eyes of the world through legal means and through keeping her safe from the industrial militarized warmongers, the neocons, the rhinos. And you're going to see Trump, when he wins, act quickly, expeditiously, and with great resolve. He will not, and I've seen some people speculate about this, he will not be a lame duck president at all in any of the years of this presidency. He's going to go forward and make America great again very quickly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's the night. Let's check it out together. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll talk about it. What did we see tonight? God bless you. Please remember DougBillings.us. Head over to DougBillings.us and prayerfully consider offering a monthly recurring donation so that I can continue to bring you the program. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic, believe it. Cheers.